As we've discussed, it's kind of crazy because Wednesdays are like Fridays and Fridays are like Tuesdays. I mean, this Christmas in the middle of the week's got us all twisted up. But we always make time for Big Game Breakdown. Quick adjustment to the schedule. We will be doing our locks for these games on Monday, December 30th. Again, Monday, December 30th, we will be doing our locks for these quarterfinal college football playoff games. The games themselves, the Fiesta Bowl will be on New Year's Eve, then the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl all on New Year's Day. So big game breakdown today. Then on Monday, we'll come back with our locks for the next round of the college football playoff locks. Let's start on New Year's Eve with the Fiesta Bowl, Penn State and Boise State. There is a very simple answer to how Boise State is able to move the football. How do you think Boise State's going to defend this Penn State team?
Well, I think they're going to do a lot of what they did to UNLV, or at least try to, right? The Boise defensive line is actually, I think, pretty damn good. And the Penn State offensive line is not bad, but it's not world beater. So I think they're going to let their defensive line try to win. I don't think you can just go insane load the box and dare Penn State to hit those explosives on you, because they've not done it consistently, but at times this year, the Nittany Lions have shown that they can do it. So I think you try to let your defensive line eat and see if you can get Drew to make some mistakes or something. Not that he throws very many interceptions, but he does. Sometimes he's late, sometimes he just misses something. I think you're going to have. I think that's your only hope for your boys. I don't really think that your secondary can hold up against a decent, but not special group of Penn State receivers.
I mean, something I learned. I had to write a piece for Christmas morning that they wanted me to publish a naughty and nice list for.
Oh, that's creative because of Christmas.
Yeah, because get it,
Santa. I got it.
Never seen that before.
Yeah,
I was making a list and I was checking it twice, just looking for little things I could write. And something I discovered that, I mean, do you know who the worst tackling team in the country is?
It can't be Boise State.
It's Boise State.
That's got to be past. Like that's got to be on the back end, because this is a team that ranks second in the nation in sacks behind only Ole Miss. As we've said, their defensive line can get after it. But yeah, I mean,
according to True Media's missed tackle rate, Boise State has a missed tackle rate of 20%, which ranks 134th out of 134 teams. So, like, this is one of those things that's interesting to me, because as far as the matchup is concerned, like Penn State, not overly explosive, hasn't been all year long. It had some explosive runs early in the season, and it still gets them occasionally, but overall, not incredible. So if you're Boise, then you're Penn State. Like, the one thing you're great at is first down offense, getting into second and short and third and short, and just keeping yourself ahead of schedule. If you're Boise State and you have to keep everything in front of you, the numbers suggest you're awful at keeping everything in front of you because you miss a bunch of tackles. So it is going to be an interesting spot, especially because, like, Boise State hasn't faced Tyler Warren or Nick Singleton or Katron Allen, these giant behemoth men that are just going to try to run you over. And it could be a problem for them. So I think that we're going to see a lot of diving at ankles, trying to trip guys up, getting them down, because clearly the way that Boise's been doing it elsewhere against Mountain West teams, not nearly as effective. So I think tackling is going to be key for Boise. But I also mentioned, like, Penn State's really good on first down. I think that you're going to need to create some havoc, some chaos on first down. You're going to have to get them behind schedule. You're going to have to, force some incompletions, get them in the second and longs, force them to get in the third and longs, because they've just been so good at avoiding it all year. And when they do get in it, like anybody else, they're not nearly as effective. So if I'm Boise, I might consider maybe just bringing a little more pressure, bringing a little more blitzes than maybe I typically do in those spots, just to try to keep them off balance, but that might prove very ineffective.
Of the games this weekend, clearly, I think we're all nervous. We don't want to see more blowouts. This one, much like the last weekend, again, I thought I was wrong on a couple of them big time. This one, I worry about a blowout factor too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just feel like this is going to be the physicality that Boise State hasn't finished. But since you asked the question, I don't think their game plan is that dissimilar to what Penn State wants to do defensively to Boise State, right? You want to try to take away Singleton and Allen and try to have Drew Aller and his cast of characters beat you.
Tyler and the Warrens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's pretty easy, but I do feel like they're going to have to bring more guys in the box to do that, which is going to present some opportunities for them to hit some big plays. And maybe it's not even Tyler Warren, because they'll probably have a game plan for him. This is one where I think Drew Aller might have an opportunity to step up. And what he's done before and what he's done throughout his whole career is he's had bigger games against the teams that aren't as dominant on the defensive side of the ball. So I think this could be a big Drew Aller game.
Penn State did not look good offensively, and the team had a never in doubt win against SMU. Like it is, Boise State needs to force the issue, because I do think that if they don't really make Penn State push, I think Penn State will be perfectly fine to just run the football, hope for missed tackles, and wear them down. Because what I think we are seeing is Katron Allen and Nick Singleton have always had an advantage about the fact that they share the backfield. But because we've also incorporated all these other runners, including Bo Pribula, who's no longer with the team right now, it seems like they've got less tread on the tires. It doesn't seem like those are two backs that are wearing down at a time when a lot of players are wearing down, at a time when other playoff teams are having to just grab new bodies to throw them into the backfield. Feels like those are two very strong, very gifted running backs that are running hot at a good time. This is where I think sharing all of those carries, sharing all that responsibility is paid off. And that's where, to me, Boise State tackling issues with all of that physicality, it just seems like a big alarm bell, where James Franklin, Andy Kotelnicki, that staff, they might just be like, we're just going to keep punching. You know, we don't even need to push the ball down the field. We're just going to continue to just do body blows, because we think eventually we're going to break them. That seems, and Danny, I agree. This one could be like, oh, the one game on New Year's Eve. Oh, it's the playoff game. And like way before the ball drops, you're like, okay, night. Definite. Oh, except you're not going to do that, because you're going to come watch us on the Instant Reaction Show at the conclusion of Penn State, Boise State, when we'll be breaking down everything that we saw and everything that we learned and looking ahead to the semifinal matchups. But yeah, I could definitely see Penn State rolling in this one.
How many catches does Jeanty have? Like in some of the bigger games, they do try to use him more as a receiver. That's something I want to look for here. I don't think that the Boise offensive line is a downgrade from SMU, and I think it's probably better, actually. So
okay.
I don't think Penn State can totally bully them
the way they
like maybe they can. Like maybe Penn State is just that good, but I do think I would take
Jennings
the Boise
is better
offensive
than
line.
Madsen, though.
Yes, he is. Although it would be kind of difficult for Madsen to play worse than Jennings actually did.
Then Jennings in that game. Jennings in that game was number 140 of 134 quarterbacks on that day in that game.
Yeah.
That was horrendous.
To Bud's point, I do think this would have to be like a Dirk Cutter game, where he kind of gets in his bag as the offensive coordinator and figures out, a way to have something, either, to come up with creative ways to use Jeanty, like Bud is talking about. But I almost feel like this is one where the Boise State receivers might have to step up, whether it's Camper or whether it's tight end or somebody else, because I do think this is a game where, and this is why I think Maddox Matson's put up pretty good numbers, is you're getting great matchups all the time. And what I don't know of is if Penn State has to give you those numbers. If they do, then I'll have to step up. But like Penn State may not have to sell out as much as other teams Boise State has faced all year long.
It'll also be interesting to me to see how the Boise offensive line handles all the blitzes they're going to see, and how Maddox Matson handles it. Because I don't know what he has seen in comparison to what Penn State typically does, how prepared he is for it. Because of the teams remaining, nobody blitzes more than this Penn State defense. And if you look at Boise overall, like their run defense, I've a lot of Boise State fans have talked about Ashton Jeanty's performance against Oregon as proof that, they'll be able to run the ball against Penn State. Penn State ranks 9th in EPA per rush on defense. Oregon ranks 86th. It's not really the same thing. Like Penn State's defense is better against the run than Oregon's is. It's better than Oregon's in just about every single department. So I don't think it's going to be that simple for Boise State to just hand off to Jeanty and expect him to get some big plays, because that's the other thing. Penn State doesn't really allow a ton of big plays. But you know what defense does allow? More big plays, more explosive plays at a higher rate than any other defense left in the playoff? Boise State. They also allow more yards per play. So on the other side of the ball, I don't know how many stops this Boise State's going to be able to get against this Penn State offense. Like they haven't been as explosive, like I said, in the second half of the season as they were early, but they're still very good at staying on schedule. I do feel like the spread tells you everything. I do feel like it's kind of like what you were saying, Danny, that there is a good chance that this one gets out of hand quick.
I think I caught this on the broadcast for Penn State SMU, but how about Abdul Carter legitimately feeling snubbed for the Defensive Player of the Year awards?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know players
like it.
I didn't know players were still like taking that, and now I took that personally. The way that they explained it on the broadcast, so he was a finalist for the Nagurski. That went to South Carolina's Kyle Kennard. He was a finalist for the Bednarik. That went to Travis Hunter. And Abdul Carter has taken issue with this, and he has decided to do what he did. They said he did like 100 more push-ups a day or something. I mean, this man was snubbed by like, I don't know, 40 FWAA voters, across the country. And now he is taking it out on all of his opposition in the college football playoff. Let's go. I need some more spite and motivation like that. I'm always happy to hear that. I hope we get another Abdul Carter game where he's just playing completely out of his mind.
To be fair, Jeanty feels the same way about the Heisman. These are two dudes who are both mad at Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
What happens when they meet at the line of scrimmage?
Oh my goodness. And I will say this, because I don't think Abdul Carter has the Twitter following of the Boise State Mafia crowd or the running back Mafia crowd, whatever it is, but they are noisy, including one Damian Harris. Like if Jeanty goes off against Penn State, oh my goodness, they're going to be rabid out there.
Damian sticking up for a running back.
Damian's going to hit him with I said what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Abdul Carter is sitting there doing push-ups, and he's got a picture of former FWAA president Dennis Dodd. He's looking at him in the eyes, just going after it. All right. Okay, go ahead. Anything else on Penn State, Boise State?
My last thought is going to be, I really do think Penn State is just going to put 8 guys in the box all day and dare Boise to beat it any other way.
Yeah, totally. That's why I think it'll have to be in others. I don't think it's Jeanty that beats him. If Maddox Matson steps up, has a big game, or a receiver goes off and has a couple touchdowns. The other thing is, though, I think they're going to have to slow down that offense. That's the thing that concerns me probably the most, is that they're able to stop Penn State's offense.
Vibes-wise, if Boise State is running gimmicky, gadgety plays in the Fiesta Bowl, let's go. They
kind of have to do a Statue of Liberty, just like
have to.
I mean, just to throw it back.
Yeah, let's go. All right.